This is my 1976 Jaguar XJ6, and in this series I'm giving it a nut and bolt restoration while turning it into my dream resto mod. In the last episodes, you saw me completely strip down the car, ready for it to be sent off to the body shop for a full bare metal respray. Despite the car only having 70,000 original kilometers, we couldn't leave the original engine as it was, so my dad and I fully rebuilt the original Jaguar straight 6 4.2 litre engine. And after many hours, many parts and a lot of elbow grease, the engine was finally finished, and I have to say I think it looks absolutely great, even if I do say so myself. Hi, welcome back to the channel. It's been a long time since I've posted any videos on my channel. In the last videos that you saw, we stripped down the XJ6 and sent it off to have a bare metal stripped down respray with a few modifications as well. And then you saw me rebuild the original 4.2 engine, which is sitting just over there and waiting patiently to be put back in a car. And that's been the problem. I haven't had a car to actually work on, hence not having much to talk about in the videos. But I have been fairly busy behind the scenes. Let me show you what we've been up to. Okay, so despite this car actually being fairly solid for its age, as with any old British car, it was suffering from rust, especially under the back end, across the front bonnet, and all down the driver's side. So basically most of it. Now my plan is not only to restore this car back to its former glory, but I also want to give it some modifications, and of course a full colour change. So needless to say, my body guy had his work cut out. So while my paint guy was keeping himself very busy with all of these modifications and the full restoration, I was busy rebuilding the front and rear subframe. And after having them sent off to be sandblasted and powder coated, it was time to put this giant puzzle back together, but with either brand new, upgraded or uprated parts. It's been a very long time since I've put any content out there on the Jag, and there's been a few reasons for that. In my personal life, there's been a lot of change, a house move and a change of job. So that's obviously held things up. But the main thing is the car has been at the body shop for a very, very long time. There's been extensive works. But if I'm talking to you today, it's because today is an exciting day. Today is the day I actually go and pick it up. Completely missed him that time. Oh, I did. After what felt like an endless drive, it was finally time to see the car I had been waiting so long to see. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the XJ6. Okay, so what has exactly been done over the last 2 years on this car? Well, a lot. As you've seen in the previous clips, there was obviously a full restoration. The seals on both sides have been replaced on this car so that it's completely solid. There was a few patches that needed welding up. On the underside as well, on the floors, this front cross member has been completely replaced because that was pretty rotten. The reinforcement plates in the front chassis have all been replaced as well, and there were a few rust spots around just general rust spots around the engine bay area that have been sorted out, welded up with new metal. So there is a slight modification to the front quarter panels. I've actually taken the indicators out of the original indicators, and you will see why a little bit later on in the build. We've got something a little bit more custom going on the car. The colour I'm very, very happy with. The colour is a Jaguar colour. It is Jaguar opalescent silver grey, or it's not light grey, it's silver grey. So opalescent Jaguar silver grey, and I think it just looks really classy. I actually saw this colour on an E-Type because I think it is a slightly earlier colour than this car was produced. It's a 60s colour, 60s into early 70s, so it's a slightly earlier colour. So yeah, and I think it really suits the style that I'm going for. It's more modern than obviously the terrible brown that was on it, but yeah, it's really exactly come out as I wanted it to be. Other modifications, so the rear arches are widened on this car. They have been fully custom made, these arches. They bring the bodywork of the car out by about nearly an inch, actually, about 2.5 centimeters. So that we can accommodate these wheels, which are a set of American Racing 17-inch alloy wheels. They're actually 17 by 9, I believe, on the back. I can't actually remember, it's been a long time since I bought these wheels, but they're running on a 255 tyre, 245 tyre on the back and a 225 on the front, so we've got staggered fitment. When you actually look up the line of the car, now it's sitting obviously very high because there's no mechanics in it whatsoever, so obviously the whole car will come down, but actually when you look up the side of the car, we are pretty much flush. The fronts do sit out maybe just a touch, but you know, some stuff that we can deal with further down the line really. So moving around to the back, we have got quite a lot of work that's been done to the back of the car as well. This panel was completely rotten. In fact, the back end was a bit of a mess in this car, very rotten, etc. There have been slightly bigger holes made for the future exhaust system, and there has also been all of the holes taken out of the car around the rear lights, and you will see further on in the build, the rear boot has been completely smoothed out. There'll be no reversing light in the rear boot, no badges, no nothing. So, and it's also had, you can see in there, a new set of tanks put in left and right because they were completely rotten, and then obviously everything has been painted, boot floor, etc, etc. So there we go. And I'm going to put it up in the air and show you the underside of the car, because there has been a lot of work with this suspension, obviously, in the car. So I'm going to get it up in the air and show you what it looks like. Okay, so all of the front subframes have been completely stripped down, sandblasted, powder coated, and then obviously put back together. We've got obviously brand new bushes and hardware through the whole lot. So there isn't really one nut or bolt that hasn't been replaced, sorted out, or sandblasted and treated. This car has got H&R lowering springs in the front of it, which are adapted to the original engine, because obviously the original engine is fairly heavy. When people do engine swaps in these, they tend to put a different spring in, but these come from Simply Performance in the UK and are adapted to the weight of the original engine and should give us a decent ride height. Now, the Jaguar suspension is actually quite interesting. The spring sits on spacers that are inside of this plate that's bolted on the bottom there. And those spacers determine the ride height of the car to a certain degree, because if you take the thickness of that spacer, that affects 3 times the thickness of the spacer is the ride height difference. So if you take 0.5 centimetre of spacer out of here, then the car drops by 1.5 centimetres on the total ride height. Now, I've been told that no 2 Jaguar XJ6s actually run the same ride height because the spacers weren't exactly always the same when they came out of the factory. So there are no 2 XJ6s, especially also over time with the suspension tends to sag and all the rest of it. I have put a spacer in these on the recommendation of Simply Performance, but I am a little bit concerned at the moment that the car is going to be sitting too high even with an engine in, because those obviously springs on the front are reinforced uprated springs, so they're not going to have the same compression rate that the original springs will have. And I do fear that even with the weight of the engine, that isn't going to come down far enough, because it is sitting way high at the moment. Now, obviously, everyone's telling me that, yeah, but the suspension will settle and with the weight of the engine and the gearbox, etc. But worst case scenario is I can undo this plate under here. Let me just show you guys. I can undo this plate under here with a spring compressor through the middle of it, take that spacer out that's currently sitting in this seat here, and that will drop the front of the car down. So coming around to the side, I have got some goodies when it comes to the brakes. It's actually original calipers. A lot of people have asked me about the brake calipers on this car. They're actually original calipers that were bought brand new. And they've just been painted. They've been treated with high temperature paint, and then I just put the Jaguar sticker on the front of them, and then they've been high temperature lacquered over the top just to protect them all. So yeah, I think it's again a little bit of a touch just to give it that sort of, you know, slightly uprated feeling. But actually they're 4-pot calipers originally, so don't, in my view, for the performance of the car, didn't really need upgrading. It didn't need a big brake kit or anything like that. So yeah, there we go. Braided lines, and then the shock absorbers. So to go with the uprated springs from H&R, or the lowering springs from H&R, I have got gas adjustable shocks, so I can adjust the ride of the car with the little knob on the front there, the adjusting knob on the front, which will give me a softer or harder ride depending on how I set them up. I think there are about 14 or maybe even more, 20 settings, and you just click that knob up and down depending on how soft or firm you want the ride. The steering rack has been replaced. I replaced it with an overhauled steering rack. Obviously new boots, new track rod ends. So yeah, it's all looking pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with the way it has all come out. Obviously all the hardware is again brand new. So yeah, no, it's looking as I want it to look. And then on the back end, over here, we have got the same treatment, really. I didn't paint the new calipers on the back because you just simply can't see them unless you get under the car. So decided just to stick with the, you know, original I think they're galvanized coated or something like that, or they might actually be painted originally from factory. So the car has got new calipers obviously in the back. Again, new bushes, new hardware, everything has been either powder coated or sandblasted or, you know, properly epoxy painted. Now these trailing arms, interesting point. These trailing arms are actually for an XJ6, sorry, an XJS. The reason they're for an XJS is because they have these little mountings on the back of them, which is going to allow me to put an anti-roll bar in the car. So the anti-roll bar will go up here, across, and then down the other side. And it will give me an anti-roll bar in the back of the XJ6, just to tighten up the handling a little bit. Not that it's a race car, but it will just make it, you know, a little bit tighter around the corners, a little bit flatter, I'm hoping. We're not going for anything extreme. Again, it's not a race car, but you know, it's just something I wanted to do really, that I heard about and I thought was quite cool. This is an interesting case in point as well. These are the braided lines on the back that, obviously there's a braided line that joins the cage, which is actually sitting in here at the moment before I put the hard lines on the bottom of the car, obviously. So it's braided line on the back as well. But these are a bleed kit, just allowing you to more easily bleed the rear brakes of the car. So rather than having to scrabble all the way up here to get to the bleed nipple at the top, you just literally can bleed the brakes from the underside of the car here on this fitting. Again, gas shock absorbers on the back. They are adjustable as well, obviously, in the rider vehicle. What else? Yeah, I've gone for grooved and drilled discs. Again, a really personal choice. I'm pretty aware that they're not going to completely revolutionize the performance of the car, but I just fancied, you know, having them in there. It was about knowing that they are in there, and I think they look really cool, so I decided to put those in. I also painted the back of the diff cover red, but that's because I had a bit too much time on my hands while I was waiting for the car to come back from the body shop. So yeah, on the underside, I've still got a bit of work to do on here. The underside of the car wasn't painted by the painter simply because we didn't want to disturb this undercoating. Now this is all in really great condition. I mean, it's a bit dusty and dirty at the moment, but I need to clean it all off, and then I'm going to give it another coat of undercoat. But I didn't want to disturb this original factory, I was actually advised not to disturb this original factory undercoating because it is in good condition. And the only thing you're going to do by taking this off, apparently, is introduce humidity to the metal that's in the floor, which obviously is never a good thing in a car like this. So the idea is to go over all of this with some proper underseal and make it all look pretty, and then we're going to give the whole lot a good coat of wax oil just to protect it all and make sure that we don't have any recurring problems in the future. So yeah, that's for the front and rear subframes. And then if I just show you while we're down here, all of the seals have been replaced in this car as well. Both sides, the seals weren't great. This side jacking point has been done as well and all replaced because that was all fairly crusty, rusty and slightly caved in. Look at those wheels, I love those wheels. And then this front cross member has been replaced as well, all through the car. So that is all new as well. And then there was quite a lot of work up here as well when it came to the chassis legs, which, you know, needed a little bit of attention. Mainly these bonnet hinges, actually, when you slide those out of the chassis legs, they'd suffered quite a bit with corrosion, obviously humidity getting in there and all the rest of it. So we've got quite a lot of preventive work to do now when it comes to, there we go. Quite a lot of preventive work now to do when it comes to protection. Obviously I've got cavity wax to put in all of the different holes, you know, all the different cavities, the chassis legs, etc., just to try and future-proof the car as much as possible. I need to do another coat of underseal, which I'm waiting for to turn up so that I can do that. And yeah, it's now making the underside of the car, you know, completely protected, looking as good as the subframes do, and the top does as well. And then we can then start fitting, obviously, all of the hard brake lines, the fuel line back to front, etc. And then we'll be able to get it off the ramp and start putting stuff back in the engine bay. So I'm really, really happy to have it back. It's really exciting to have the car back, and I think it looks great. And now we can actually get on with the project. So after all of these months and years, in fact, of planning, we're actually going to be able to start moving on and start putting new bits on a car, which is really exciting. Yeah, good to do.
So join me next time where I'll start putting this car back together. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Hopefully not in 2 years' time.